Are you ready to think big and act bold? Then you are in the right place. This is Innovative Entrepreneurs, a podcast that will bring you the stories, insights, and tips from some of the most successful and innovative entrepreneurs in the world. I am your host, Erica Bailey, and I am here to help you start, scale, and sustain your own entrepreneurial journey. Let's get started. Today we have a special guest who I met through Freedom Tribe, and we kind of got to know each other really well through this group. So I'm excited to have him here as a guest. Mike McDonough is an entrepreneur and owner of McDonough Insurance Services. Over the last 4 decades, Mike has owned his agency and helped thousands of clients manage their risk. He is a speaker, author, and educator of insurance. He is known nationally in the workers' comp industry. Mike is a problem solver, and over the years, he has discovered a unique and effective way of helping his clients solve problems mitigating their workspace injuries. So over the last couple of decades, Mike's clients have saved millions of dollars in overall costs combined. He enjoys helping businesses transform from chaos to certainty, building business wealth and growing their bottom line. He recently received his designation as a Qualified Self-Insurance Administrator, SIP, in California. Having this technical knowledge helps him identifying potential issues that can rise, enabling Mike to review and resolve problems quickly for his clients. So thank you, Mike, for joining me. I'm so happy to have you here.
Well, thank you, Erica. I'm grateful and happy to be here. So thank you for including me today.
Well, I think that when you have the right people in the right room, you get results, and you're just one of those right people. So I think this is going to be a great episode.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
So, all right, you and I, we talk a lot about and learn a lot about mindset, right? So how did you think it impacted your life and your decisions? And has it changed over the last 20 years?
Well, my mindset changes sometimes moment by moment, sometimes day to day. Over the last several decades, my mindset has changed many times. I mean, at one point in my life, I wanted to be a restaurateur, executive chef, own my own restaurants. That was an identity. Then I was introduced to the insurance industry and so forth. So, my mindset has changed many times. But since I've joined the insurance industry, my mindset has changed from being a transactional broker to a more empathetic and compassionate broker. And what I mean by that is we don't cookie cutter anything, that we are problem solvers first. And working closely with our clients, it's really about what is their end in mind. In other words, by working with us, what do they want to accomplish? Is it to improve their bottom line? Is it to reduce their claims? Is it to get better outcomes on their claims? And if they want to create, more stringent safety program and protocol for their employees? Do they need help with HR? So whatever areas, because, every business owner has strengths, and the weaknesses should all be transferred out. So most of us have a CPA that does our taxes. We all go have our own family doctor, right? We all, have different payroll companies. We have people that do landscaping, contractors, right? So things that we're normally not good at or don't have time to do or want to spend time doing other things is we, bring other people in. So that's really what we do, is we help identify the weaknesses and then show a business owner how to bring in those resources to strengthen their foundation and become a better company.
Wow. Okay. I like that you said you want to be, empathetic. Do you feel like kind of change in mindset and decision to change the way that you look at how you treat your customers? I mean, has that shown an increase, you think, in, customers or long-term customers or possibly referrals? I mean, do you think that mindset has gotten you there?
yes to all the above. Insurance is a mandated product. And as human beings, anytime something's mandated, I mean, go back to COVID, right? How many people liked that it was mandated you wear a mask? Some people accepted it. Some people resisted it, right? Anytime it's mandated, human nature is to resist because we maybe don't understand it. Maybe we feel that it's pulling us down or setting us back. So insurance has a lot of similarities to that because the government or the states mandate that you have certain, workers' comp to cover your employees. The ACA compliance for health benefits, that's mandated for certain employers of certain sizes. If you rent a space and you open a restaurant, the landlord's going to want insurance to make sure that you're protecting them and their building. So it's really not a transactional thing. I mean, the transaction, yes, there's paperwork involved and you're communicating between insurance companies and underwriters, and those things, as far as the paperwork, is transactional, but the relationships shouldn't be transactional. So, I mean, there's underwriters of all different ages, sizes, sex, the whole thing, right? Some have been in the business 2 years, some have been in business 30 years. Some people are experiencing burnout, right? So when you're dealing with somebody in a system that's mandated like insurance, it's not everybody's passion. So you just accept people. You try to look at things from their point of view, whether they are right or wrong, or they agree or don't agree with you. But it's just about being more empathetic with your clients and also your vendors and services, because collectively, if you create relationships with everybody, good, strong relationships, then ultimately everybody wins, including the client and my staff and my employees. We all win. And then, we're also contributing to other people's lives. And it's really about what I've learned through, Mike's program. It's all about making an impact. And so I didn't realize years ago that I was making an impact when I was. Now I see it more as making an impact. And now today I want to make even a greater impact.
Yes. Love it. Love it. Love it. It's really all starting with being kind to yourself, being kind to the people who are around you, vendors, doesn't matter, clients, just being kind, I think, is really how any successful business starts.
I'm a firm believer it's just as easy to be kind as it is to be unkind.
Yeah.
And I think you are far ahead and you win more when you're kind.
Absolutely. So we'll get into kind of what you do here in just a minute, but I talk a lot about having your tribe, right? Or putting the right people on the bus in the right seats with the right driver. Right. So how important do you think it is to have people like that? And does it impact your success?
Yes, it does. And it's extremely important because I wouldn't be where I am without my tribe, so to speak. And to get where I want to go, and if I want to scale and get to the heights and levels that I dream about, I have to take care of my tribe. And one way I do that is making sure that I am meeting their needs, that I have an open book, that they are doing something that is fulfilling to them versus just having them do something that they may or may not like to do. To me, is not productive. It's not effective. And so it's really about getting clear on what it is they want, because some people are really good at admin. Some people love talking to people and love being on the phone all day. Some people like going to live events. It just really depends. So if we don't listen to our tribe, then we're underserving them. And ultimately, they're going to get frustrated. And so it's not about just finding out what they like. It's checking in with them on a regular basis. See what goals they have, what aspirations, what do they dream about? And even if that means that, hey, somebody in my tribe wants to someday open their own insurance agency, right? Mm-hmm. I would be all for that. I would help them be successful and show them and teach them and support them anyway and encourage them to go after what it is. If their goal is to just work here while they're going to law school, while they're learning about business and insurance, because they want to get into some kind of law where they're, representing employers and risk management, or they want to go work for an insurance company, or they just want to get into real estate or whatever it is. I mean, we've had women work for us in the past that, became RNs. They worked here while they're going to nursing school. So it's really about what they want, not what I want from them. And if I give them what they want and I take care of them, I know that I don't have to look over my shoulder, and I know that my clients are getting the best service, and it's just pleasant for everybody. And if somebody doesn't like something, we encourage them to please speak up, because we want to address it as soon as possible.
I love that, because I truly believe that that's how, again, it all goes back to kindness. If you're kind, you know who your people are, you know what their needs are, you know what they're lacking or what they, dream of. So if you understand your people, that builds a sense of security, of comfort. You know what I mean? It's like a trust. I trust that you really are here to support me. So I'm going to work as hard as I can and give back to you. So it's not about what you're going to get. It's about what you can give. And then ultimately, no, it comes back to you in the end. So we're in the middle.
It does. I just want to mention one thing is employers, don't be afraid to let your employees grow. Don't be afraid of them expanding their mind. Don't be afraid if they know something more than you, because it's really about growth. And so one thing I've learned from Mike and through Food Dog, and I didn't know this a couple of years ago, but yeah, it's really about your tribe expanding and growing, because if they're expanding and growing, you're expanding and growing. And so you're doing it together. And don't be afraid of somebody dreaming big and expanding and living their life. It's all about getting them what they want.
Absolutely. Perfectly said. So what was your why to start your own company and go out on your own and take on the insurance world?
That's a great question. There's several answers to that. The first one I'll tell you is control. Not because I'm a control freak. It's just I didn't want my life being in control of other people, because other people may not have my best interest in mind. I'm a free spirit. And what I mean by that is I think outside the box. I have no problem speaking my mind. And I, got into trouble as a young child because I was very independent and creative. They thought I was a troubled child. I wasn't troubled. I was just expressing myself. And rather than finding out what it was that I wanted or needed, they just labeled me as a bad child and treated me like a bad child. And so, to this day, I'm no different than I was when I was in 5th grade, other than my mind has expanded. But I'm a firm believer that, to get what you want, you have to speak up. And there's ways you can do it that are tastefully, professionally, and so forth. And so what I learned early on working for other people is that that wasn't necessarily their dream. It was an income or a lifestyle or paid their bills. And that's not really an environment you want to be in either. And I'm a free spirit and have always wanted to do my own thing. And when I worked for companies, I felt like a stallion, right? And it's like, why would you fence me? You just want to open up the gates and let me run. And you know what? The more I run, the clearer I'm going to get, and I'm going to find things sooner and so forth. But if you try to curb my creativity and my mindset and try to control that, and I'm resisting, we're both losing. I learned very early on I wanted to be on my own. And I also knew that I don't take direction very well from people that think that they're in a position of authority.
Yeah.
Right. And I know over my career, I've intimidated people because of my personality, and I'm not hard charging this and that. I'm just very driven, very focused, committed to what I want. And a lot of people had a problem with that. And so they would label me and so forth. And it's happened in my career as well. But I've had people been chopping on my knees for a long, long time. And yet I just keep going because I'm not here to make friends. I mean, yeah, I make friends along the way, but that's not my goal when I wake up in the morning, for people to like me. I get up to make an impact in the world. And if I'm making an impact in the world, that's making an impact in me. And that's what drives me every day.
Wow. Man, you're good at that. I just got the goosey bumps. Okay. So tell me some times where you have failed and what you've learned from it, how you overcame failure. Yeah, that's my question.
Well, there was a part in my life where I had a very successful insurance practice, and I'd been doing it so long, and it's just the industry we're in, you have to have a strong mindset. And I would contribute this back then to a weaker mindset. Even though I was driven and being successful, I've learned that a lot of it was self-sabotage, and that's based upon, my upbringing and, thinking what I'm worthy of and so forth. So before I got into the insurance, I told you I was in the restaurant industry. I was a sous chef, right? And so my goal was to be an executive chef. And so I came to the point one day, I'd had enough. And so I sold my insurance agency, and I went and bought a restaurant where the prior owner, unfortunately, had passed away, and it was left to his wife, and she couldn't continue running, didn't want to run it. And so I said, okay, here's my opportunity. And, I was a couple blocks from the beach. Being a chef, I love cooking, I love people, and I love making good food and, making people happy. So I took a break from the insurance and ran this restaurant for a couple of years. And so what happened was my lease came up, and the owner wouldn't give me a long-term lease. And so he kind of forced me out by increasing my rent 3-4 times. I mean, I tried to buy his building from him. I tried to buy his brother's building next door. I mean, he and his wife had an ice cream shop that was next to our restaurant. And so I was looking to scale, and he didn't want me in there anymore. And so I didn't plan enough. So that was one of the failures I had, is not negotiating a long-term lease or negotiating buying the building up front. And so ultimately I had a successful restaurant and closed it down. And it turned out a friend of mine from high school, I've known him since 9th grade, had contacted me and said, hey, Mike, would you ever consider get back in the insurance business? And I said, I don't think so. I'm going to look for something else. He says, well, you happy in the restaurant? I said, yeah, I love it. I said, look at me. I'm 2 blocks from the beach. I said, I know what my expenses are every day. I go home at night. I know what I made. I know what I lost. And I'm not dealing with claims and unhappy people and increased pricing. And insurance industry, it's not easy, So anyways, he said, well, what about if I offered you this and that and this and that? So anyways, I went down, met with his boss. We hit it off. And so anyways, I didn't continue in the restaurant industry. I got that out of my system. So I basically went back and started to scratch as a producer for a large agency. But I'd already had a huge network, and I already knew the industry very well. It was just a matter of making contacts and getting the machine running again. And I went there for about 3, 4, 5 years. And the owner of that company he tried everything but to make me successful, And so I don't know why he did that. So that was another mistake I made, a failure. I mean, I was successful there, but not to the level I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm. You're being held back, it sounds like.
Right? Yeah, definitely.
You're being fenced in.
Fenced in, held back, any way you want to look at it. Yeah, an anchor, albatross, whatever you want to think of. But here it was that I knew I didn't want to work for people. That's why I had my agency to begin with. So I left him and went back on my own. And so, here we are, 15 years later. And I've stayed the course again, and I've got the restaurant out of my system. I know the direction I want to go. It was just being a specialist in business and workers' comp. It was very easy to start that up again. Got more involved in alternative risk and other things that I liked, where I'm more consultative versus transactional and things like that. And so that's just part of the story so my why is that, I always had to provide for my family.
Uh-huh.
And so even though I sold my agency, I had money in the bank. I didn't lose it all, didn't put it all into the restaurant industry. I just took a break for a few years. It kind of gave me some clarity. And then I tried to go back into the corporate world thinking, okay, instead of having all the headaches and processes, I'll just go gangbusters with all my knowledge and experience and incredible wealth this way, where they're covering all the costs and overhead and supporting me with staff. And that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. So I left that and then started from scratch again. And so I've had to rebuild everything, but we're doing great today and scaling and growing and expanding and having a great time. And more importantly, we're making an impact in other people's lives. And all my mistakes and failures have done nothing but made me better, made me a better broker, a better husband, better father, a lot of things, better friend, relative, whatever. So I don't really see things as failures. I see them as growing steps.
Yeah,
sometimes you get set back. But it's not really failure because you tried it, right? And if it didn't work out, my dad used to tell me that life is nothing but a zigzag. You zig left, it doesn't work out. You zig right, it doesn't work. He just says you keep going through your life navigating, zigzagging, and that's pretty much what I've done. But now I don't zigzag as much. I'll zigzag as far as decisions I make, but I'm not zigzagging as far as where I want to be as far as a career. And now that I understand my identity, my abilities, and how I'm making and where I'm making an impact, be right where I'm at right now, and I just enjoy it every day.
Love that. Okay, so in this ever-evolving industry, how do you stay updated with the latest changes and trends? And what skills do you think are the most crucial for success in this field?
I keep up every day. I belong to multiple networking groups, and I don't mean as far as referral. Networking in the sense that, for example, there's a workers' comp group, right? And there's 35, 40,000 members in that group. So there's regular posts in our industry as far as what's going on in risk management, what's going on in loss control, how employers are winning, defense firms are posting. So every component pretty much that I deal with on a regular basis, I have access to that information on a daily basis. I get them in emails. I get them on LinkedIn. There's books that I read. I attend many conferences and so forth. So I'm constantly staying up to date because things are changing so fast, just like technology, and things are improving. So once there's been a change that's going to benefit my client, I want to know about right away and start implementing right away. So I like to take massive action.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so that's how I learn, is that I'm learning, every day. And
amazing now. You think about it though, Mike, is, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, how did we learn, right? Like right now, there's so much that we can gain from our peers through these groups, right? Knowledge, resources. And how did we do this 15 years ago? I don't even remember. I don't even remember how we did. Without these social groups. Obviously, there was internet searches, but I think that really, for me, that's how I'm keeping up exactly like you. It's really is the groups, it's the communications, it's the collaborations between people who have the same knowledge and understanding, or maybe no more, maybe no less. So, I agree. That's kind of how I keep on top of things.
To be in this industry, you're in the customer service business.
Got it.
It's a very emotional business. People's homes, their businesses, their cars, their lives, their health. There's insurance for almost everything, right? So what may be minor to you could be major to somebody else. So you have to come into this business open-minded, understand that you're going to be serving people. To me, it's no different than the restaurant industry. So the minute you walk into a restaurant, it's nice when you're greeted. You're sat right away. Would you like some water? Can I get you appetizer? In other words, the process starts. Well, the same thing starts in our industry. And the more a broker engages from the first contact with that potential client and starts focusing on what that client needs, not what we think they need. In our industry, I think there's too much giving advice. It's almost like therapists. Therapists shouldn't give advice. Therapists should ask good questions so that we answer our own questions. I think insurance brokers, in a way, we're kind of like therapists. We're not licensed therapists, but people do share their issues with us. And it's our job to listen to their problems, make sure that they understand their problem, find out something they want to take immediate action on, and then provide the solution for that. Versus so transactional. Oh, you got a car. Okay, you need this coverage. Oh, you need that. You need comp. You need collision, workers' comp. You need business. You need health insurance. Don't tell people what they need. Let people tell you what they want. And so, you have to be a good listener. You have to enjoy people, regardless of what the circumstances are, whatever you're good at. So if you want to be in this business, is you have to learn to develop resources and bring in people to fulfill your weaknesses. So if you're really good at sales, then bring somebody else to do the rest. If you're really good at just running the team, then bring in a sales team. But too many business owners, they're not good salespeople. They're really good leaders, or they're really good leaders and not very good salespeople, or they hate admin or whatever. Whatever the situation is you have to be the best that you can be for your clients. And whatever your weaknesses are, you need to develop those through other people. And then, like you said earlier, you develop a big, strong tribe, and now you are there for your client 100%. So, and don't be afraid to admit what your faults are. Yes. So get into this business because you like helping people. And I'll tell you right now, if you like helping people and you help people, the money will come.
Yep, you can't chase it. You just have to be nice to people. You can help people,
Right.
and
Right.
good things will come back. I actually had a recent experience that's really driving me nuts. I accidentally underbid a project, and I came back and I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is supposed to be double what I put in here. And I was walking back and forth, and for 2 days I'm going insane because I know I need to contact him. And then 3 days comes, and then 5 days come, and I won't rip off that Band-Aid. And then what happened is I finally, okay, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to email him. I'm going to talk to him. And I did. I sent that email, and he came back very, very nice about it. And I think it's because I went to him saying, I made a mistake. You know what I mean? And I see that I made a mistake, and I apologize, and then I will work to make this better. And he still was happy to do business with me. I think it's because of that honesty that I was willing to accept my fault and my lack of paying attention. So I feel that if we do actually accept and understand that we have both greatness and we have faults, and that's what makes us perfect. So if we identify and pay attention to those faults, we will learn, but it equals out. So I don't know, that was kind of like a long-winded way to say I had an experience like that recently.
That's all right. You got to get it out. You know what I mean?
Get it out, yeah.
I don't care how you express it or how long it takes. You just express it the way you best express it, and you did fine. It was good.
I speak my truth with grace and ease was one of my affirmations recently. Okay, so now tell me about your book. You wrote this. It's on Amazon, and I love the fact there's a Kindle version. It's 70 surprising ways to create higher profit in your business. Almost no one is leveraging these little known secrets of workers' comp to unlock bottom line growth. All right, so who is your audience here? Who are you trying to share this with?
I wrote the book for two things. One is the business owner, and number two is for other brokers.
Okay.
Insurance advisors. Workers' comp, in my experience, is the most misunderstood and most complicated insurance there is. Because you're dealing with injuries, you're dealing with emotions, and there's a lot of moving parts.
Okay.
And it really depends on the injury, whether it's a laceration or to a lost limb, paralysis, or fatalities, right? And we've seen it all. So in all my years, and I chose 70. There's more than 70, but on a daily basis, I don't engage with all 70 of the topics in the book. But I wanted to point out that if you're a business owner and you have employees and you don't understand your workers' comp, there's 70 things in this book that can affect you, your costs, and can drive your cost up. That can affect your bottom line and decrease your profits. So if you don't understand your workers' comp, you're having issues, you're experiencing a lot of claims, whether they're severity or frequency, and you're just seeing your costs go up and up and up, and you don't know how to stop it. Mm-hmm. My recommendation is you look for an advisor that has a background and understands not only workers' comp, but understands how to incorporate risk management and safety and HR with resources and sometimes even labor attorneys, because all these professionals can really help you mitigate your risk, because you want to run your business. You're wearing too many hats. You don't have the bandwidth or the finances to bring on a full-time HR or a full-time safety person, or have an employment attorney on retainer and things like that. So that's where I was, telling you a while back about fractional services.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I talk about in the book, is that, keeping toxic employees, and how much is that costing you? Not enforcing your handbook, how much is that costing you, right? Having a return to work program, right? Having a nurse triage, working closely with your defense team, attorneys, working with your claims examiner, the benefits of all these things. So if you're a business owner and you don't have the professionals on your team, you don't have systems in place, then I can tell you, you are going to be paying a lot more in insurance than any of the other business owners that have proactive systems, that engage and have fractional services, that you're running your business and you're delegating and transferring the risk to other professionals to help you mitigate, but it's being done right. It's improving your morale. You're having less turnover. You're hiring better people, and you're just seeing your injuries go down. And ultimately, you're going to see your bottom line go up. So that's why I talk about 70 surprising ways to, higher profits. Well, 70 surprising ways is that you need to know what you're doing. And if you don't, hire somebody. And the thing is, to the brokers, is if you're maybe a broker that you write workers' comp and you really don't have an understanding of the back half, meaning the claims portion of it, I highly recommend that you learn something about claims so that you can better serve your clients to where you're going to reduce their headaches and frustration and hopefully lower their costs by implementing some of the things that I'm talking about in the book, or recognizes some of the things that are going on in that business and helping that business owner, collaboratively reduce those exposures and ultimately have a better running business, more profitable business, higher morale, less turnover, and everybody wins. So that's why I wrote the book. It's to help business owners and brokers, but ultimately to point out that there are many factors that are affecting the cost of risk.
You really do have a passion for helping others. Like, I think it's phenomenal how you care so much about people and know that if you just treat them right, if you help educate them, you're going to get the same love back. But you never do it for something in return. But if you do it, you typically get something in return, is how I think about it.
I'll share a very big win. I got a phone call this morning.
Okay.
And one of my clients back in January 2020 called me and said that his employee's arm was ripped off, right? Mm-hmm. So I hung up the phone, drove over to his facility. The helicopter had already left. He had to be airlifted for trauma. Make a long story short, here we are 3.5 years later. I got the call today. We finally settled that case. And the original demand was $3 million from his attorney. Uh-huh. And we settled that case for, not including his medical, but overall, we saved the employer $1.5 million because our team was engaged from the time the injury occurred all the way through the process, including legal actions that were trying to be taken against the employer. Uh-huh. And we got rid of it all, got it signed off and approved by the judge yesterday. And I found out this morning that we were able to settle the case for $1.5 million less than what the original demand was. So that's a huge win for our client, but that's from a team effort. It's not because of me. It's not because of one individual. It's because of multiple people, including the first responders when the injury first occurred, and the hospital and the doctors and the physical therapists, the nurse case managers, our attorneys, their staff, the court reporters, through the depositions and just all the different hearings and everything, and just paying the medical bills and making sure the injured worker was taken care of, his prosthesis, everything, right? So a lot went into that, but it was a team win. But those are the types of things that we like doing for our clients. And it's about a team effort, but it's knowing how to manage that type of injury.
Wow. Okay. Having the knowledge. Got it. Okay. So talk to me about fractional services. So, I actually have done this a few times as a fractional marketing director, but I'd love for you to talk about what that means. I've spoken about it in previous podcasts. So this is why I'm asking for you to explain what it means and why you suggest it or who you suggest it to. Oh, and by the way, if you want that book, it's on Amazon. I'll drop the links in the show notes so that you can have access to it.
They can also go to my website at McDonoughInsuranceServices.com. It's on the front page. There's a link right there as well.
Perfect. Yep. All those links will be down, and we'll make sure that, people can access it. So again, fractional services. So talk to me about what that is, what that means, what that looks like.
So I deal with a lot of small business and middle market, some large businesses. But most of them are, $3 million in sales above, 40 to 50 employees and above. And nowadays, HR services are needed more than ever. Uh-huh. The world's going at a very fast pace. However, HR consultants are in demand. Uh-huh. They're very good at what they do. And, they're constantly studying law and compliance. And so their job is to look after an employer and make sure that they're working from a labor standpoint in the best interest of their employees, whether it's payroll, whether it's vacations, Family Leave Act, enforcing the handbook, termination, separation agreements, whatever the situation is. Most businesses can't afford $150,000 a year and, pay $10,000 a month to keep them on retainer. Same thing with law firms, labor attorneys. To retain a law firm, they want upwards of 25, 30 grand just as a retainer.
Yeah.
A lot of small businesses don't have that kind of cash flow.
No.
Safety companies, OSHA compliance. There are safety companies that offer monthly programs that could run into the, $30, $40, $50,000 a year. You're forking out $3-4 grand a month. You can buy a lower end program for $1,200 a month, but still, it's a monthly commitment. And so the resources I work with, I have multiple HR consultants, and it depends on what the need is. And not all HR consultants are versed in all areas. Some of them have expertise in certain areas. So it really depends on what the need is. And so we will assign the appropriate HR consultant for that need. Same thing if it's sexual harassment versus a wage and hour versus a wrongful termination versus a serious and willful or criminal thing, we will assign the attorney that we feel has the strongest chance of helping that client out. So instead of paying an attorney on a retainer, the client, depending on what it is, if it's something simple, they're going to pay for 3, 4, 5 hours. Okay, it's $500 an hour for an attorney. Okay, we paid him $2 grand, but the problem went away. Versus 30 grand on a retainer or 50 grand, right? Okay. On an HR, instead of having them on, and we do have clients on monthly retainers. It's just that the ones that can't, they're better off with a fractional, but they're still getting the same results as somebody that has a retainer. So we bring them in as needed. The client pays the hourly wage. The problem is solved. And, at year's end, they may have solved 3 issues and only cost them $3,500 versus paying 30 grand for that year. So that's a substantial savings. And, we're always looking for ways to improve and help employers. So whether it's a payroll service provider, whether it's a construction company, whatever it happens to be, we're there for our clients. And so we've created a network of resources. And so we call them fractional services. We even have attorneys. So if you need a special agreement written up, let's say for a subcontractor agreement, we'll refer you to one of our attorneys. They'll charge you an hourly wage to produce that document, but then you're done. But it's done right. And you don't need to look back. And if there's any enhancements to it or things expand or change over the years, the attorney's already got it in the system. They just have to make endorsements to those contracts, and it saves you a lot of money. So employers are really saving a lot of money, but we like to say that they're getting Fortune 500 services, right? But they're getting them at a reduced cost. And the resources that we use, they get enough referrals from us that a lot of experts in those areas have started offering more fractional services because this day and age, people don't have a lot of cash flow, but they still have the need. So that's money coming in. So why turn that money down? So fractional services become very important to our agency and for our clients. And the clients that we have on fractional services are loving it. And we've actually freed up their minds. They're getting better sleep. They're not worrying about handling the separation agreement because they're a 10-year employee. There's going to be conflict. No, we bring somebody in that has no emotional attachment, has all the experience, and knows all the legal ramifications and what's required, what forms need to be signed. And we remove the owners and their team from the exposure and from all the drama and the emotions.
Yeah.
And they pay to have that done. So they're focusing on running the company, not running on all the legalities and compliance.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. So, and the way that they're able to do this, these employees, these fractional employees, is they can actually be HR person for 2 or 3 different companies because that's the amount of time and services that each one needs, right? So they don't just work for one, they're able to have few clients. Is that how it works?
Yeah, they're able to work for hundreds of employers.
Perfect.
Yeah, so they were working for one of my restaurant clients with 6 locations, and they're working for a manufacturer over here with 35 employees, and we need a handbook done, or hey, this home care agency with 200 caregivers. It's a male owner, and the caregiver comes in and says she went to the doctor and found out that, she's pregnant. So we don't want that male owner who knows nothing about maternity leave handling that.
Yeah.
So he picks up the phone and calls his HR consultant, and she contacts not the injured, but contacts the employee and walks that employee through the process and lets that employee know exactly what to expect, how it's in, the time off work, how they'll be compensated, all those things. And it removes a lot of pressure from the employer, but also the employee is getting accurate information, and it provides a level of certainty. So there's not a lot of confusion, and you don't get all this retaliation and resentment and all those things. And so it's just being done the right way, but you're bringing in the person that knows that. If it's the Family Leave Act, or somebody's separating from the company and we want to give a severance, and how do we figure out that severance, and how many years has that employee been here? Or we found out that the employee has some kind of terminal illness, or there's a disability. We don't want the employer engaged in those, so we remove them from the exposure. Yes, they're empathetic and compassionate, but they're not dealing with the legalities or the compliance. That's being handled by the experts, and that really reduces huge, tremendous cost to employers, and it keeps them out of court, and it keeps their legal costs down, and it removes a lot of stress and frustration.
I love that it does. It separates church and state. You know what I mean? Because
exactly
when you work somewhere, when you work somewhere for so long, you know what I mean, and having to face your boss who knows everything about you and your kids and your family because you've had discussions for 10 years, and then they have to give you that limit. As it is. That is right there.
Here's most business owners today, and they wonder why they have headaches. They wonder why they're stressed. They wonder why their costs are going through the roof.
Yeah,
you're wearing too many hats. So here you send this to HR. Here, let's call our attorney. Here, let's call our safety guy. And look I'm down to one hat. Mm-hmm. And if I'm smart enough, then I turn over to my family, and now I'm free.
Hot damn, that was very good. That was awesome. Do you always?
That's what I do. Is I take off the layers of all the hats that most people wear in a day.
Wow, I mean, that is seriously a service. Okay, Mike. So I ask everybody this question. Who do you think is the most innovative entrepreneur who has impacted you or is from history? Like, when I ask you that question, who comes to mind? And it can be anybody, now, before, doesn't matter.
Well, I'll tell you the entrepreneur, it would be Napoleon Hill, the book,
Yeah. Okay.
Think and Grow Rich. Well, because the mind's so powerful. Uh-huh. And there's a lot of people that are entrepreneurs and made a lot of money and been very successful, but I don't necessarily follow their way. Uh-huh. But I like Napoleon Hill because it gets you thinking, and it really comes down to what I'm doing anyways, is just find something you enjoy that you can make an impact in somebody's life. Stick with that. Know the most you can about that. It's not about just going out and coming up with an idea and making a lot of money. Because I think a lot of people that make a lot of money, yes, nobody would ever say no to that. Okay. But I see a lot of people that have never done self-help, so to speak, or expanded their minds. They were fortunate and came up with a great idea, made a lot of money, but they're very, very unhappy, or they're hollow inside, and they're always looking and wanting for more. So I think if you take the Napoleon Hill approach, you're actually going inside and you're finding something that it resonates with you, that you enjoy doing, that makes an impact in other people's lives, that you can scale and grow. It challenges your mind to expand and grow and things like that. So that scenario right there, that book is probably one of my greatest motivators, because when I read that book many, many years ago, also Earl Nightingale, he also talks it. It always comes back to the mind.
Yep.
So nowadays I follow people that believe in expanding and growing the mind, including Mike Aguilera from Food Dog. He's been a tremendous help to you and I. Exactly. I have the same book, Mind Power. Uh-huh. But see, now I live by that on a daily basis. So am I scaling? Am I growing? Am I taking massive action? right? And I'm removing fear and, living the life I want to live, not what people told me life should be like, right?
Right.
And then
Right.
I have to give a lot of credit to my mom. I would say she's probably my greatest motivator. More importantly, was my dad, because my parents got divorced when I was 4. My dad wasn't involved in my life. And so the fact that my dad was on my life is the greatest motivator and gift that I've ever been given, because it taught me at a very young age that I have a lot of ability, and that, if you work hard and you stick to your principles and you do right, you can make it in this life. And so, that's where I got a lot of my drive. But my mom, because she raised 6 kids by herself on one salary and put us through private school and, ironed our uniforms and made our lunches every day and so forth. So, I have a pretty good story.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't come from wealth, but I'm thankful for that.
You came from wealth of life, wealth of knowledge, wealth of
life. Yeah. Yeah. So I had to learn a lot, but I was born with a gift. I was born with a lot of drive and willpower, and I've never quit. And so here I am today. So I'd say Napoleon Hill, my mom, my dad, those are the 3 things that I rely on the most, that have given me the most power to be who I am today. And I have to also give my wife and my 2 children being more supportive of me and going along with me, the ups and the downs and all that. But in reward, spending time with them and watching them grow and scale as well. So I'm a very blessed man. I have no regrets, and I've learned from every wrong turn, or whatever you want to call it. I don't like to say failures. I've tried a lot of things that didn't work out, but you know what? They made me stronger.
Mike, I have really enjoyed talking to you today. Thank you so much. For everybody who's listening, all of his information will be in the show notes. If you think that somebody will benefit from this, all I ask is that you share with them. Again, Mike, thank you very much. And I know we'll be chatting soon.
Erica, thank you so much. I'm grateful for our friendship, and thank you for thinking about me and having me on today. And I enjoyed sharing with you.
Oh, I'm so grateful for you too, Mike. All right, we'll see you. Wow, what a great episode. I hope you had as much fun as I did. If you want more of this goodness, make sure you subscribe so that you get notifications for future podcasts. And if you found value from this, please share it with others. You can visit our website at cwgdigital.com. This is Erica Bailey. I am your host, and I will see you next time.